So Dr. Torres' research program focuses on the role of plasma membrane and vesicular transporters and the regulation of dopamine and serotonin homeostasis in the brain, and the role of the gut microbiota in the development, function, and regulation of the brain dopamine system. We're going to be, though, talking today not about Dr. Torres's impressive research program, but we're going to be talking about his role as the director of the Mentoring Institute for Neuroscience Diversity Scholars, or MINDS, and also the director of the Center for Underrepresented Research in Addiction, or CURA, which are two R25 national programs funded by the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke and the National Institute of Drug Abuse, respectively. And so MINDS and CURA are all about promoting the advancement of promising underrepresented junior faculty in the neurosciences. And I had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Torres in Florida in June of this year I'm participating as a mentor in one of the R25 programs for one of our scholars here at the University of Minnesota. And I wanted Dr. Torres to come and talk to us today about these programs because I was so impressed by what he's been doing with his colleagues and leading these two programs. The scholars that are participating are amazing, and they've really brought together mentors, it's all nationally across the country, and just the kind of what the work is and the very warm and supportive climate that Dr. Torres has created with these programs. It was just so impressive to me. And so that is why he is here today to be talking about them. So I will stop now and turn it over to Dr. Torres.
Thank you, Nancy. Can you all hear me well? No echo?
You sound great. Yes, thank you.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can you all see my screen? I'm going to put it in presentation mode. Okay.
Yep, looks great.
It's good? I'm good to go?
Good to go.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy, for a number of reasons, for the nice invitation to come and share sort of our experience running these two programs and working on diversity. Also, thank you for being, part of the program. You are, as you said, you are one of our mentors, and mentors actually are the ones that drive the bulk of the programs, as you will see in a minute. And it's also nice to have a chance always to talk about how important it is to increase diversity and be more inclusive. And lastly, I know I have a number of friends at the University of Minnesota in the medical school, in the neuroscience sort of area. So it's always nice to reconnect with your institution. So what I'm going to be doing today in the next minutes. Oh, let's see. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about these two programs that we have developed. One is more recent, the Mentoring Institute for Neuroscience Diversity Scholars, or MINDS, which is funded by NINDS. And we are in the second sort of a period of funding. With this program started in 2014, and we were able to renew recently this program for a second period through the R25 mechanism. And more recently, we also received funding from NIDA, the National Institute on Drug Abuse, to fund the Center for Underrepresented Research in Addiction, or CURA. And both programs are basically identical in the sense of we are supporting underrepresented junior faculty members in the case of the MINDS program, in NINDS related research, neurological disorders and stroke. And in the case of NIDA, is junior faculty, underrepresented junior faculty conducting drug addiction research. So let me tell you a bit of the history of these programs, and then I'll tell you what we do, and then we'll go from there. well, we'll start with the acknowledging the people who run the program. In addition to, I serve as the director of these two programs, but I have a really fantastic team. One of them is Janine Holt, who is a faculty in the Department of Ophthalmology at Wayne State University, who has been co-director of these programs, and Tracy Baus, who basically runs these programs for us. She does everything to make sure that we have everything ready for all the activities that we organize. And we started these programs with a couple of faculty from the University of Pittsburgh, Michael Sigmund and Beth Pitcher. They both retired recently, so they continue helping us. But they had a more active role in the past, but they continue, so they are still associated with our programs. In addition to this, is sort of the face of the program in terms of the people who organize and put together these activities. But then we have also a network of mentors, Nancy being one of them, from all over the country, from all different institutions, and then instructors that we ask them to come and help us with some of the events that we organize. And I'll tell you a bit that in a minute. Okay, so what is the problem? And I think that we all know what the problem is that there is very little representation of minorities, Hispanics, African Americans, Native Americans in all the sciences, not only in biomedical sciences, which is the area that I've been focusing on, and particularly in neuroscience, but in all the sciences. And as I'm going to show you in a minute, sort of from 2005 to 2014, there has been a decrease in both the number and percentage of underrepresented minorities at the assistant professor position. That was really key in trying to identify sort of the target population that we wanted to support. So before I go into the why we need to solve this problem, let me sort of tell you a bit more about the issues. Collectively, Blacks and Hispanics and also Native Americans represent more than 30% of the US population. This number keeps increasing. It's predicted by the 2050, this number is going to be closer to 50%. But at the level of at least medical school, and I want to make sure that, I point out that all the information that I have, it's in terms of, representation in medical schools, particularly in neuroscience departments. But I don't think that this is too different from other schools like engineering, arts and sciences, or public health schools. But in terms of, the numbers in medical schools, 12% of all medical students are underrepresented minorities. Less than 8%, I think 8 is a generous number, of all medical school faculty are URMs. So medical school faculty continue to be predominantly white, 64%, and male, 60%, especially at the associate and full professor ranks. At the assistant professor level, the numbers are really, is worse. So the conclusion is that there is a persistent underrepresentation of certain racial ethnic minority groups in science, and women also in medical school faculty. Particularly, we're talking about Hispanics, African Americans, Native Americans. So this is a very revealing figure. This is the number of full-time basic science faculty, basic science department faculty members from 1979 to 2018. And you can see here, the upper line is basically male faculty, not underrepresented minorities. The middle one is female faculty, also not URMs. And these two lines close to zero, or close to the bottom, these are the male and female underrepresented minorities. So you can see a couple of things that are that obvious from this plot. Number one, the number at any given point in time, say in the beginning or at the very end, is very different, dramatically different. Male scientists, not URMs, and female. So there are, I'm going to say, 4 to 5 times more male faculty than females, and probably close to 20 times compared to underrepresented minorities. And while these two male and female faculty, the numbers have been increasing over the years. It seems like they haven't changed much at the level of the underrepresented minorities. Again, medical schools and basic science departments. I don't think that this is too different from other departments and clinical departments or from other schools like School of Public Health, but you can correct me on that. So that's the problem. So how do we actually change this? So that's the challenge. And again, this is something I did last night, sort of for fun. I took a small sample because what I told you is the problem at the faculty level, but it's even worse at the leadership level. For instance, department chairs. And I took a small sample of department chairs. You might recognize some of these individuals. These are from the Chicago area. We have a number of institutions that have medical schools. Then Wisconsin, Minnesota, Indiana, Michigan, Iowa, and Missouri, which are sort of the states that are surrounded now, Illinois, which is where I am right now. And I look at particularly department chairs in neuroscience, departments or neuroscience institute directors. And this is basically that sample. So we have 13 department chairs or neuroscience institute directors, 11 of which are white male. And then we have 2 females, Cecilia Hiller, which is doing a great job in Wisconsin. And I forgot, and Linda Richards at Washington University. And what you don't see here is basically diversity in terms of, minority representation. So, and this is a trend that we see across the country. However, I have to say that I know several of these individuals, and they are, I know you might recognize the chair of the Department of Neuroscience at the University of Minnesota, Tim Ebner. I know Tim for a while now. He's done a fantastic job promoting and increasing diversity representation at the University of Minnesota, particularly his department. And you'll see later, we have 3 fellows in our program from the University of Minnesota. So the University of Minnesota is doing it right. And they have, for a little while now, they have developed mechanisms to promote and increase diversity. So, but this is the picture that we have right now. And sort of the idea is now, how do we change this? And the primary sort of advocate to change diversity representation has been NIH, particularly Francis Collins, the director, and NIH has been committed to support diversity, equity, and inclusion, and identifying barriers to promote diversity at the workforce in science. So NIH has been fundamental in terms of developing mechanisms to support and promote and increase diversity over the past, I'm going to say, several decades. So this has been a problem that for a number of years now. But not only NIH, but also professional societies and other private foundations and other organizations have also played a role. But perhaps NIH has played the larger role, again, in biomedical science. So a number of years ago, NINDS, which is probably, along with NIDA, the 2 institutes from NIH who have also taken a primary role in developing mechanisms to support diversity. They came up with this funding opportunity through an R25 mechanism to, it was called the NINDS, Neuroscience Development for Advancing the Careers of the research workforce. So we approached, this is 10 years ago now, we approached the program officer, Michelle Jones-London, and we asked about sort of these funding opportunities. And basically she told us anything that you can think of in terms of developing strategies to increase diversity. That was sort of the message of this announcement. So we had meetings with colleagues. Back then, I was at the University of Pittsburgh to develop strategies to promote diversity. And you can see in this academic ladder that they start from early in high school and then to college, PhD, postdoc, to become a faculty. as an old professor of mine used to say, there is really no bad place to intervene. But then we realized that many of the programs that already exist, not only are 25 mechanisms that are specific programs to support diversity, but training programs and other mechanisms support many of these early sort of career stages. There is a lot of programs for high school students, for college students, summer programs, and even post-bac programs. PhD and postdoc have their own training program with a strong diversity component, also diversity supplements to funded investigators. And then we realized that the untenured professor with the junior faculty here didn't have this systematic set of resources that all these other career stages had. And this is a key position, because now when you become a junior faculty, you have all the pressure. You have to do the teaching, the service, and at the same time, you have to demonstrate a scholarship and be productive and submit grants and get papers because tenure is coming up. So we realized that although many institutions have programs to support junior faculty, it wasn't uniform and not everybody basically had the same type of opportunities. So with that in mind, we decided to develop a program to support junior faculty at the level of the first couple of 2 or 3 years of their assistant professor position. And that's how so we focus on the untenured junior faculty, and that's how the MINDS program was born, the Mentoring Institute for Neuroscience Diversity Scholars. By the way, the name initially was the Early Career Institute, and we changed it based on feedback that we received from the fellows. And one of the fellows came up with this name, MINDS, which I thought that it was fantastic. So this is a feedback that we received from the fellows. So it's a national program. So we recruit junior faculty from any institution in the US. It's funded by NINDS through the R25 mechanism. And what we like to do is promote the advancement of underrepresented junior faculty member in neuroscience that is ideally NINDS related, because NINDS is funding the program and they want to see that type of research also represented. So, and what is it that we do? We identify close to 10, we have had sometimes 8, sometimes 12 junior faculty each year, again, from any institution that is conducting research. Extremely promising in regard to their ability to conduct research in academic neuroscience, ideally NINDS related. And then when we select this group of junior faculty, we establish what we call a 1-year enrichment program that has 3 main activities, if you will. One is a mentoring and grant writing and mentoring conference that takes place over 3 days. At different places. Last time, as Nancy mentioned, it was in Florida. We were able to get together for the first time after COVID in Florida for a 3-day event. And I'll tell you a bit what we do during these 3 days. Then we also support attendance to the Society for Neuroscience, where we develop a 1-day workshop previous to the meeting. And then we do what we call an enrichment opportunity that is specific to each fellow, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is basically the core set of activities that we develop within 1 year with the cohort that has been selected for the program. Okay, so again, we recruit 10 diversity junior faculty in neuroscience from US academic institutions. We meet with them to develop an individualized sort of assessment of needs. Everybody is different, not everybody needs the same thing, and everybody is at different stages within their own institution. But what we do after that sort of assessment, we identify a mentor for each fellow. And we ask the fellows to help us identify the mentor. Because the mentor is in the area of research of the fellow. So we ask the fellow, and I'm going to give you an example. We ask her to give us who are the experts in their research area. Is the research area is glia and epilepsy? Then we ask the fellows to tell us who are the experts that have a strong track record of funding and productivity that can actually mentor you and help you get that first grant proposal funded and become your mentor for the rest of your career. So one of our fellows is from the University of Minnesota, actually, Ida Foncoy, and we asked her, help us identify that mentor. And she said, well, I know that mentor. The mentor for me, the perfect person is Nancy Cherwell. And it happened that she is here at the University of Minnesota. It doesn't have to be the mentor at the same institution, but we have had a few cases in which the mentor is at the same place. Like in this case, we had another case in Indiana where the fellow asked for a mentor from the same institution. They didn't know each other. And now that fellow is getting his second R01, and that interaction has been fantastic. So Ida said, I want Nancy because she's the expert. She's going to help me. She's fantastic. So we went to Nancy and said, Nancy, can you help us? We need you. We want you to help us mentor Ida because, you know, you're going to do such a fantastic job. So we want you to be part of the program. And then this is what we do for all the fellows. We identify a mentor and we invite then fellows and mentors to the 3-day conference or workshop. We want to call it conference because we do a bit more than just a regular workshop. And then when we talk about a number of things, we go over grant writing strategies. We have talks about the different components of the grants, the do's and don'ts. We have a mock review session where the fellows actually participate in the review session, and we have presentations by participants. We bring associate professor with tenure so they can talk about their experiences getting tenure. We have a keynote speaker, which is an underrepresented scientist, has an accomplished underrepresented scientist in neurological disorders, research. And so we have we have a number of things that we organize during this conference, but perhaps the key, the most important thing is that we have mentor-mentee interactions, and we have the entire weekend, and then we have specific time slots where mentors meet the fellows and discuss. They start discussing the next research proposal that the fellow is going to be submitting, whether it's an R01, which is in most cases, or an NSF, or a DOD. So we give the specific aims page of that proposal to the mentor in advance, and they meet during these 3 days conference, and specifically in some of these allocated times to start discussing that proposal. So that's what we do during this conference. We also have enrichment activities based on individual needs. I'll tell you about that in a minute. And then attendance to the Society for Neuroscience, where we have another one-day workshop where we talk about things that we did not talk in the previous conference. So in the 3 days conference, we control the agenda. We decide what to talk about: mentor-mentee interactions, grant writing strategies, associate tenure and promotion, and diversity issues. We control the agenda, but then we ask the fellows to tell us what else they want to hear. And based on that input, we develop a one-day conference that organized around the mentee suggestions. For instance, they say, I need help, publishing papers. And then we talk about, we bring strategies to increase productivity or time management or other things. So if the mentors are at the meeting, then we also facilitate the more mentor-mentee interactions, and particularly networking, because we also organize a few things at the Society for Neuroscience. There is a reception there for all the underrepresented scientists within the meeting. So they take advantage of the entire SFN experience. And then based on that, we assess the targets in terms of, a scholarship that have been supported by the program. So all this happens within a year, although there is flexibility there. So this is the agenda of one of these 3 days event, which is the main event of the program. We start on a Friday and dedicate the entire Friday to the grant writing strategies. This is for the fellows. Mentors don't come until the evening, Friday evening or Saturday morning. So we talk about the grant application, the process, the structure. We've been incorporating rigor and reproducibility. We have, this is a bit old, but we have a mock review session also here on the Friday session. We talk about the budget, how to prepare and manage a budget. So Friday is dedicated to the grant proposal, basically. And then during the evening, we meet and greet the mentors. They come and then we socialize. And the fellows, some of them have met the mentors before. Some of them meet the mentor for the first time. So it's a really nice opportunity to mingle and then socialize and meet and greet the mentors. So then we go into Saturday. We decided to have in the morning presentation by fellows. This is really good because then we start to learn what everybody's doing. There are a lot of discussions and then cross-talk between mentors from different fellows. So it's been really in potential collaborations that in terms of the discussion of the idea. So this is a really new and good component of the event. Then we have what we call here lunch and interaction with mentor. We do now one-on-one. If we have 10 mentors, 10 tables where mentors and mentee have lunch together and now start discussing the specific research proposal, the preliminary data, all the different issues around the proposal of the mentee. And that we give enough time, 2 or 3 hours for that to take place. Then we have other session. We invite associate professors who have received tenure. These are underrepresented also minorities that can talk about their own experiences and the process at their institution. And we end with a dinner and a keynote lecture by a prominent neuroscientist, underrepresented neuroscientist in the case of MINDS in neurological disorders research, in the case of CURA in drug addiction research. And then Sunday, finally, we have a half day. In this particular agenda, we have the mock grant review session, but if not, we have other sessions. And then we meet with the fellows and we talk about the next steps, and then everybody is good to go. So that's pretty much the 3-day conference that we organized. I'm going to show you some pictures of some of the old events that we organized. We have done this a number of times already. The MINDS program is in the second period, so we have done this at least 6-7 times. And every time we pick a different location based on sort of the geographical location of most of the participants. That's one consideration, and then how easy it is to bring this amount of people to a hotel and have the capacity to organize a conference like this. So we've been to Florida a couple of times, Colorado, Arizona, Maryland, Pittsburgh. So this one, I believe that this was in Pittsburgh, one of the first sessions. And you can see here, basically, this is the time where fellows, you can see this fellow here in the middle discussing with the computer his research proposal, in this case with 2 mentors. We had in the old days 2 mentors per fellow, and then we moved to a model in which we only had 1, because we identified the mentors and we realized that it was better to have 1 in the research area. It was more productive, more efficient. But in this case, now you can see all these fellows now interacting with their mentors in discussing their research proposal, specific aims, preliminary data, collaborations, etc. So, and this is the group picture that combines fellows, mentors. We have a few instructors that can talk about the grant process, the budget, and other things, and associate professors. So this is usually we bring close to 35, sometimes 40 people to some of these events. So the second component is what we call the enrichment opportunity, and this is sort of specific to the fellow. We meet with the fellows individually, and this is the assessment of needs, and we tell them, listen, we embedded into the budget is a small amount of money that is basically yours. So you tell us what you want to do with it. The only justification is that it has to promote your research program. We can buy equipment, we can buy supplies, but in most cases, they want to go to a small conference, like a Gordon conference or a specific conference in their area of research. In some cases, they want to visit another lab because they want to learn a technique or they want to initiate a collaboration. Or in some cases, they want to take a course, say, for instance, microscopy, super resolution microscopy, some of these courses that are available at these different organizations. And in some cases, they ask us, well, can I send my student who could benefit from learning these techniques that they can apply to the research project that obviously is going to promote my own research program. So we say, so it's all these options are available. We have developed flexibility in terms of all these options, but they have to define what is it that we want to do with this small budget. We model this from a program that exists at the Society for Neuroscience for pre and postdocs. It's called the Scholars Program, in which they have these opportunities. So we decided to do basically the same and give them an opportunity to define something that they want to do that is going to promote and enrich their research activities. So that's in the Society for Neuroscience annual meeting is another opportunity to get together. We develop a one-day workshop based again on suggestions by the fellows, and in case the mentors are available, we promote these interactions. But they have the entire meeting. We ask them to ideally to present the research in terms of a poster or an oral presentation, but we also promote networking and when we can here. So that's so I'm not going to show you a lot of data, but basically in the first period of the MINDS program, we recruited 51 fellows, and we wanted to have a high impact mechanism rather than recruiting a few. We wanted to recruit sort of a significant number. So 10 per year, we recruited 51, 28 women, 23 men, and this is the demographics: 19 African Americans, 31 Hispanics, 1 Native American. And most of them are junior faculty. In a few cases, we took senior postdocs who were transitioning into a faculty position, and what we did here was a bit different. We helped them with that transition by supporting sort of the identification of the institution and that they wanted to target. So and we have a few examples of success stories here as well. They come from all over the place. Every university that conducts research, it's represented in this from our fellows, including the University of Minnesota. And I have to say that we have the largest number of fellows, 3 from one institution at the University of Minnesota. So like I said, I think that University of Minnesota is doing really, really well in promoting diversity at the faculty level. So, and this, obviously, this list keeps growing. I don't think it has been updated with the new cohort, but the fellows are coming from any institution from the country that conducts neuroscience research in the context of NINDS or NIDA for the 2 different programs. So this is sort of a picture of the MINDS program in the first period. We believe that we not only have developed a program that supports faculty by providing all these opportunities of enrichment, of attendance to scientific meetings, of grant writing and mentoring opportunities, but also we are creating a community. And one of the things that we develop at the end of this program that now we would like to retake now with in the new period is it's interactions among the fellows, and we are supporting, for instance, invitations of fellows to each other institutions, and that's also really it's been a great success in the program. So that's the first part of the program. So let me tell you where many of these fellows are. So when they came to us, they were assistant professors. is not funded, and that's sort of the rationale for seeking this level of support. And many of them were very happy to report that they are associate professors with tenure at their own institutions and with significant amount of funding. Katrina Robinson, associate professor at the Medical University of South Carolina, R01 funded. Nate Smith, associate professor who just moved to the University of Rochester from George Washington University, who's been DoD funded. Andrea Raymond, associate professor at Florida International University, R01 funded. AJ Vacuum, associate professor, Indiana University, R34, 33 funded. In R21 recently, Ruben Dagda, associate professor at University of Nevada, R01, R25 funded. Nidia Killing, an associate professor at University of Colorado, R01 funded. Katie Serafin, associate professor at the University of Texas, El Paso with NSF and NIH funding. And Kedra Wallace, associate professor at the University of Mississippi, R01 funded, recently received tenure in Mississippi. So these are some of the examples. And we are not claiming that we alone did this. It's a community effort, and obviously that also includes the support from their own institutions and other organizations as well. We would like to say that we contribute somehow to the success in maybe a small portion to these fellows at their own institutions. So basically, this is the MINDS program. So we had this from the first period from 2014 to 2018, and renewed this for 5 more years from NINDS. They really liked what we did. They also, we think that we were sort of effective in terms of supporting junior faculty. One of this. And then we were contacted by NIDA. Actually, we were asked by NIDA whether if we could replicate the same model, but this time supporting junior investigators conducting drug addiction research. So we submitted that proposal that was, I'm not gonna say identical, but it's basically the same model. We're gonna take 8 to 10 junior faculty doing drug addiction research, and we're gonna propose to develop all these support systems, all these activities for them. And they funded that proposal through an R25 mechanism. So now we have basically these 2 sister programs, one from NINDS and one from CURA, which I have to say, it's indicators demonstrate that this model can be applied to any discipline. It doesn't have to be not even neuroscience. It could be cancer, immunology, it could be public health, because it's sort of the model is supporting junior faculty. It's sort of irrelevant, the area of research. What is relevant is basically the mechanisms that promotes the support, which are mentoring, sort of developing of assistance to enrichment opportunities and so on. So you can apply this model to any discipline or any area of research. So we started again selecting our fellows for the new cohort in 2019-2020. So and for the MINDS program, we selected, I believe here, 12 fellows. I think we were a bit sort of generous. So we selected 12 fellows, heavily representing the East Coast, not so much on the West Coast. I think we're gonna need to do something about this. But we had a number of fellows, a number of fellows for the MINDS program. And then at the same time, we're running these 2 programs. We selected a number of junior investigators for the CURA program. CURA Center for Underrepresented Research in Addiction was also a name that was suggested by one of the fellows. So this is where they are, from all over the country, from the East Coast, Florida, we have Texas, and we have Washington and Oregon here. The problem is that, as you all know, so COVID came, and we had to move the entire program to an online version, basically. See, our program basically were based on activities that require going somewhere. Either the 3-day conference in Colorado or Florida or Maryland, the enrichment activity that was also going to a small conference or another lab, and the main meeting, Society for Neuroscience, which is, so all that was canceled. And we had to quickly adjust our program and move it to an online version. So we did that, and we developed online sessions through this now wonderful technology that is the Zoom. And then we ask our instructors, and I'm gonna highlight here Les Satin from the University of Michigan, who has been now part of the program, an incredible partner, and he's been helping us. He runs a boot camp at the University of Michigan for junior faculty submitting their first R01. So we asked Les to help us and do the same for us in an online version, and he's been wonderful. He's been developing sessions, how to write a winning specific aims page, which is probably the first thing that we ask the fellows to give us. Give us your specific aims page so we can give it to the mentors, so we can start these mentoring discussions. So we started with a specific aims page, and then not only let's sort of tell us or tell the fellows or help the fellows, formulate a specific aims page, but he also offered to review the specific aims page of all the fellows and provide feedback. So that's also a new part of the program that we have incorporated. Now we have a review process for the specific aim page. He talks about the research approach and then the entire sort of the rest of the grant, basically. We talk about rigor and reproducibility. So we have had this in 2020 and in big part of 2021, sort of monthly workshops where we had all these grant writing sessions. We also had an online mentor session in which we introduced the mentor to the fellows. We still were able to identify mentor for the fellows, and we promote that interaction through Zoom. We were forced to do that. So for every fellow that we had, these are the MINDS fellows, we identify a senior expert in that research area. Again, these are individuals who had an excellent track record of grant success and productivity, and they were identified by the fellows, and we invite them to become mentors of our MINDS fellows. We did the same for the CURA fellows. And then we also had online sessions in which we invited associate professor with tenure to talk to the fellows about sort of the next step in their own career stages and their own experiences at their institutions in terms of tenure and promotion. We ask, I'm going to skip this because it's more of the same, but we also ask the fellows to give presentations. So we had presentations by the fellows through our Zoom community in which they talk about their research proposals. We encourage the fellows to invite their mentors to this presentation. So we had sort of an agenda, an online agenda of activities that we had to develop because of COVID. So we had sort of sessions about time management and especially during these times of disruption, like the one that we all lived a couple of years ago. And finally, we were able with the CURA fellows to attend. We couldn't do it with the MINDS fellows because Society for Neuroscience was virtual in 2020 and 2021. But ACNP, the American College of Neuropharmacology, that has a strong drug addiction component as part of their conference, we were able to get invitations. This is a closed conference only by invitation, and we contacted the president of CNP and obtained invitation for our fellows, and we were able to bring the fellows to ACNP in 2021 in nice San Juan, Puerto Rico. So we had a one-day workshop there, and here this is the agenda. And again, this is the workshop where we asked the fellows to tell us what is it that they want to hear. And they wanted to hear about lab management. So how to recruit people into your lab, how to find a good postdoc, these type of things. Time management, they also wanted to hear. And then expectation management, being a minority in a majority institution, which is one of the recurrent topics in many of the fellows' cases. So, and then we had a keynote speaker for this event as well. So we were very happy that at the end of 2021, we were able to resume sort of in-person activities because it was important. I think I want to, okay, I think I have so we have the second cohort of the MINDS program, and you can see that we have this time 2, 4, 6, 7 fellows, 2 of which are from the University of Minnesota. This is Arif Hamid from the Department of Neuroscience, TIMS department, and this is Ida Foncue from the Rehabilitation Medicine at the University of Minnesota. So we were very happy to have this Minnesota representation. And this is the MINDS program, and the CURA program, we selected a second cohort, again, from all different institutions in the country, and 1 junior faculty from the University of Minnesota, Shade Spencer, who is in the Department of Pharmacology at the University of Minnesota. And again, these are all areas of drug addiction, from basic to clinic to epidemiology to social determinants. So this was recent. So we identify mentors for all of them, Nancy being one of them for Ida in her case. And these are the mentors. I think I put, these are some of the mentors that we used the last time, but I think that in the last, within the first period of the MINDS program and the first cohort of MINDS and CURA, we have reached out to probably close to 100 mentors in the country, and this is crucial to the program. They are the ones who actually help the fellows with their proposals, and at the end of the day, that's what basically drives success and tenure decisions. So this is a big component, a big thanks. So Nancy has been one of our mentors, but to all of them, I think that what makes this program successful. Bruno Aberbeck here from the NIH was Arif Hamid's mentor, and David Jenge, who I'm trying to find here, David, was Shade Spencer's mentor. So very important, the role of the mentors in our program. We couldn't run this program without these individuals. And finally, this is, we were in sunny Florida in June, where we decided to combine the 2 programs to make it more effective, especially after COVID. So we brought the MINDS fellows, we brought the CURA fellows, we brought some of the old MINDS fellows that didn't have a chance to go to have this opportunity. We brought the mentors, we have instructors. I think Nancy is somewhere here. We have Shade Spencer here, Arif is here. Where is Ida? Ida is here. So and this happened back in June. So, and this is where we are. I just moved from New York to Loyola, so I am transferring these grants that support these programs to Loyola. So we are posting this program for a little while, and then we are hoping to resume this soon. So, but this is what I wanted to tell you about these 2 programs. So, in conclusion, I don't have a slide for conclusions because this is work in progress. This is work in progress. So we're building a community, but it takes a larger community to develop, to promote diversity and to solve the problem of better representation in the sciences. So I think that this is going to be a continuous sort of effort by many to actually get to a point in which we can have a more diverse and just sort of a representation of scientists. So again, thank you for the invitation. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and thank you very much. I'll stop the share.
I'm afraid.
Maybe I can start. Thank you so much, Dr. Torres. That was incredibly informative. So one of the reasons we wanted to learn more as part of the research committee was you've modeled this so clearly. So the level of detail that you provided today was very helpful. Whenever Nancy's interested and willing to come back on, of course, I would invite her to do so. But I'm just going to go ahead and call on Kumi at this point.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Torres. That was really exciting to hear about. I just was wondering, a lot of the benefits of diversity in science that I've heard about is the new perspectives that come into the ways that we study and what we study. Have you observed, or is this an outcome of some of your programming to see what kinds of new topics or approaches, populations that are kind of being added to the field of neuroscience right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. But the short answer is no, we haven't. And the reason is because we've been so focused on making sure that we provide the support system that they need right now to be successful. And in academia, at least at the School of Medicine, to be honest, success is measured these days in terms of tenure and promotion by, grant submissions and grant funding and productivity in the sense of manuscripts. So that has been the focus, to make sure that we maintain a sustained population of junior faculty that can grow and become role models for students and trainees that they're not seeing that, because so that's the effort. But at the same time, I mean, we can we have discussions with the fellows. What are they realizing is that they didn't have before is that there is a community that they can reach out to and use it not only to become to network and socialize, but also for their own professional development and for their own scientific research problems. And then we're promoting that. We're promoting cross collaborations. And then there are these ideas now to go to NIH with a multi-PI from some of these fellows to actually answer questions from different angles. So we are starting to develop that concept. But we need a bit more time. We need also a bit more support, and we're also a smart operation trying to do something significant.
Well, thank you again, Dr. Torres. I love that question. I love that question also because the promotion and tenure process and NIH research funding is absolutely such an important metric. But again, theoretically, do you think that there are other models out there that would support perhaps diversity in the way that underrepresented groups would like to work? So for example, more translation work, or perhaps more outreach. Has your groups, because you have so many, considered those other outcomes as metrics?
The issue with that, we try to, we at some point, in the discussions of this program, we added an extra aim, if you will, which is start conversations at every institution to see whether we can actually drive institutional change, because all these discussions of promotional tenure are specific to every institution. So we realized that it was a huge effort that we were not going to be able to develop within this program. So I can tell you a couple of experiences that when some of the fellows we discussed, and in a couple of cases, they at their own institution, they wanted to develop different metrics for tenure and promotion. One of them, commitment to diversity, for instance, and their own roles in terms of promoting in diversity. And in both cases, that was not well received by the institution. So I think we're going to need more conversations at the national level, to actually try to change the way that tenure and promotion is perceived and tenure and promotion is conducted, because today is a very rigid a system. At least in the medical school, it looks at basically one parameter. If you can even forget about, to be honest, research, teaching, and service is research. In the classic view of the tenure, there are some instances in which you can achieve tenure in some institutions through different tracks, but the general track of most research-intensive institutions in medical schools, in basic science department, which is my domain, is basically heavily focused on research productivity, and that translates into grant funding and manuscripts. So I think we need to have more conversations to try to change that, especially given the amount of service that this is the problem that we have in minority faculty. Sometimes they are the only one in their department or the only one at the entire institution, and they become service people because they've been asked to be on every committee that the department, the school, and the university wants to basically include them to represent the institution. And that is a problem because it's taking away time that the junior faculty should use to be protect their own research program. So there is a lot that we need to talk about, not only keeping and bringing more of this support system, but also changing the landscape and the conversation around tenure and promotion.
Well, we want to thank you. So on behalf of Nancy, as well as the research committee and us here in the division, thank you so much, Dr. Torres, for taking the time today. We look forward to hearing more about your programs and possibly getting an email from you one day to serve as one of your mentors. So thank you again. So
no, thank you. It's a pleasure to talk about, you know, this is an important topic. We need to continue these conversations, and I'm very happy to talk to your community in Minnesota.
So you're receiving a litany of thank yous here and accolades about your excellent presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and welcome to the Midwest.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody. I'm going to read the chat before I go, but thank you.